Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. It is a Thursday, the 15th day of May. Half of the month is done, but half a month to go. Bringing you Morning Matters today because your mornings matter. Malacanang clarifies that President Bongbong Marcos has no involvement in calls for an impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte. Meanwhile, incoming party list representatives Laila de Lima and Shel Jokno are set to join the prosecution panel. The Commission on Elections insists a manual recount must follow legal procedures, starting with an election protest. This follows Apollo Quibloy's camp calling for a recount over alleged irregularities. And COMELEC processes 159 of 175 certificates of canvass. The poll body aims to proclaim winning senators and party lists by Saturday, possibly its fastest in 85 years. Straight on to our top story, incoming party list representatives Laila de Lima and Shel Jokno are set to join the House prosecution panel in the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. Here is the report.
Several re-electionists will not be able to join the upcoming 20th Congress, including two designated prosecutors for the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. These are General Santos Representative Donna Charon and Ako Bicol Party List Representative Jill Bongalon. Now talk shift to who could possibly replace them in the historic impeachment trial. A few names were floating. Attorney Shel Jokno, now poised to become congressman as first nominee of party list race frontrunner Akbayan, and former Senator Laila de Lima, presumptive representative of Mamamayang Liberal party list. Eventually, Akbayan party list confirmed that Jokno has agreed to be a prosecutor. Akbayan also said it is extending its full support to what is called a historic process of accountability. De Lima confirmed accepting the invitation of House Speaker Martin Romualdez to stand as one of the 11 prosecutors in the trial. De Lima says her decision comes from a place of duty and principle, noting that this is not about personalities or partisan politics. There's also Miro Kimbo, who's winning as Marikina's 2nd District Representative based on partial and unofficial election results. He was part of the prosecution team during the impeachment trial of the late Chief Justice Renato Corona. But Kimbo has yet to issue a statement on the matter. For Joel Chua, who's keeping his seat as Manila 3rd District Representative and designation as House Prosecutor, these personalities could be a formidable addition to their team.
Yung personal opinion ko, talagang maganda rin na makasama namin sila dahil unang-una, nakita naman po natin, hindi po ito mga ordinaryong mga kongresista, mga dekampanilyang abogado to, yung kanilang mga karanasan when it comes to legal matters, talagang mabibigat din naman. Senator Laila de Lima, si Attorney Shel Jokno, si Attorney Miro Kimbo, talaga ng mga may karanasan, may credentials at masasabi natin na talaga namang batak na pagdating sa trial.
The Senate is expected to start Duterte's impeachment trial after President Bongbong Marcos's 4th State of the Nation address or when Congress formally resumes session.
Malacanang clarified that President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is not pushing for the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte in the Senate. This comes amid speculation that the president is involved in efforts to remove the vice president from office. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro denied the allegations, emphasizing that there is no instruction from the president to pursue such action. The vice president was impeached by the House of Representatives on February 5, with the Senate trial scheduled to begin on July 30.
Wala pong anumang balita patungkol sa pagpursu ng Pangulo sa impeachment or sa impeachment trial ni VP Sara. So yan po ay ating tinututulan at pinasisinungalingan po. Wala pong sinasabing anumang pagkumpiyansa na para mapatalsik o matanggal sa pwesto ang Vice Presidente.
The Commission on Elections said any call for a manual recount in the 2025 elections must go through the proper legal process, beginning with the filing of an election protest. This statement comes after detained religious leader Apollo Quibloy's camp called for a manual recount amid reports of election irregularities. Chairman George Garcia explained that conducting a manual recount would require legislation and a separate budget. He added that the poll body is already conducting a random manual audit as part of its standard procedures. In response, Kibuloy's lawyer, Attorney Israelito Torreon, disputed the need for a formal petition. Citing Section 31 of RA 9369, he argued that COMELEC has the motu proprio authority to initiate a recount due to widespread complaints. Don't go away. We'll be back with more stories right after a short break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Winners in Maguindanao del Norte's local race were proclaimed inside a military camp, vowing to bring peace and development to the province. Here is the report.
Datu Tucao Mastura made history by becoming the first elected governor of Maguindanao del Norte after the province was divided into two during the plebiscite in 2022. Mastura secured over 122,000 votes, defeating his nephew Suharto Teng Mangudadatu. According to Mastura, his primary focus will be on the development of the province.
Ang unang pinakamalagang proyektong natin is how to make Maguindanao Norte an industrialized or a best business center. Kasi nandiyan po ang Puluyok, nandiyan po ang airport natin. So, kailangan natin mga investors po para mabubuhay yung bar.
Mastura's running mate Datu Marshal Sinsuat also won along with the Congresswoman-elect Bai Dimple Mastura. Sinsuat said he will prioritize resolving family feuds or rido, which are often the root of local conflicts, especially land disputes.
Yung natatandaan ko pa na nasabi namin nung kampanya is una-una yung peace and order.
One of our priorities is peace and order dahil kung wala pong peace and order, mahirapan po ang development.
The canvassing and proclamation of the winning officials took place at the 6th Infantry Division Camp in Datu Udin Sinsuat, Maguindanao del Norte. This is to ensure security and peace amid the election-related tensions. Overall, 49 election-related incidents were reported nationwide during the 2025 election period. 27 of these are still being validated, while 12 remain under investigation to determine whether they are linked to the election day itself. The highest number of incidents were recorded in the Cordillera, Bangsamoro, and Calabarzon regions. Despite these incidents, the Philippine National Police reported a 53% decrease in election-related violence compared to the 2023 barangay and SK elections.
Now let's circle back to our other story. The camp of Pastor Apollo Kibuloy asking for a manual recount. And to discuss this matter further, we have now with us on the show Attorney Israelito Torreon, lawyer for Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. Good morning, Attorney. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, good morning, and good morning to all your subscribers. And yes, morning.
Attorney Torreon, as of 7:30 a.m. this morning, with 97.37% of votes in, Pastor Kibuloy is at number 31 with 5.5 million votes. Why the call for a recount? Do you not believe this number?
Well, it's not about his number. It's about the integrity of the elections, Ma'am Gretchen. Simply because of the fact that we have been calling prior to the elections for the implementation of Section 31 of 9369. And what is that? That provision proves that in this election, there should have been manual counting of votes in the precinct level so that there will be clear results insofar as each precinct is concerned, because this is the mandate of RA 9369, and that is to provide transparency, credibility, fairness, and accuracy of election results. But this was not followed. We even filed a petition before the Supreme Court, and then thereafter we repeatedly wrote letters to the Commission on Elections and even made a call via SMNI and other TV interviews that the law should be implemented, but nothing happened. And now we have numerous reports about certain irregularities as well as unexplainable occurrences during elections, which can only be remedied via a manual recount of votes. So that is why this is not about his victory. This is about transparency, and this is about restoring the trust of the people in the election process. He is even
Attorney-
willing to sign. He is even willing to sign a waiver, that whatever may be the results of our call, he will not sit as a senator just only to prove that he wants to repair, he wants to fix this country, and he wants to restore the trust of the people in our electoral system.
Attorney, si Pastor Apollo Kibuloy po ba ay nakapagboto nung election day?
That I was not able to check, but I'm sure he was able to do that because I was here in Mindanao, I was in Davao del Sur, my home province, and then thereafter I am still in Cotabato City in order to monitor the elections.
Pero siya po ay nag-register dun po sa I think there's
registered siya,
special
but,
voting for
I
PDLs.
think- Yes. The Commission on Elections have that mechanism by which persons deprived of liberty can vote even while they are in prison. And I'm sure he was able to avail of it.
But you're not sure if he was able
was
to
not
actually
able to
do it?
ask. Yeah, I was not
okay.
able to ask about that particular matter. We were able to talk about this call, but I was not able to ask that matter.
Okay, let's go back to RA 9369. Actually, taking a look at it, tama po kayo, nakasulat po dito that in reading the official ballots during the counting, the chairman, poll clerk, and third member shall assume such positions as to provide the watchers and members of the public as may be conveniently accommodated in the polling place an unimpeded view of the ballot being readied by the chairman. But isn't this also po in relation to the elections prior to the automated counting machines that we have already employed now?
That's what George Garcia wants you to believe. But that is the prevailing law on the matter that amends Republic Act 8436. Republic Act 8436 provides for full automation. That was the act authorizing the COMELEC to use an automated election system. But that was amended by RA 9369, and that is the prevailing law on the matter. And that is why I have always been emphasizing in all interviews that I had that this is the prevailing law, and I cannot understand why our chairman, who is supposedly the most knowledgeable of all election laws, keeps on insisting that we should amend the law. That is the prevailing law on the matter. And his job is supposedly to implement that and provide ways and mechanisms by which to implement that law. And that is clearly provided by the law. Yung online voting, wala ngang batas niyan. Nag-implement siya, tapos side-side siya ng Section 28. Klaro naman doon sa Section 28 ng RA 10590 that the COMELEC is only authorized to explore ways and means as to how to improve our election system and recommend measures and recommendations to the Joint Oversight Congressional Committee. Wala siyang authority mang-implement ng online law. In-implement niya. Dito, klaro yung batas. Ayaw niya i-implement. Yun lang po, ha? Yun lang ang sa atin. Pasensya na kasi ilang beses na kasi kaming nag-file pa kami ng PDP laban ng petition sa Supreme Court. Nito, ilang beses kami nagpadala ng sulat. Ayaw i-implement. Ngayon, ang daming reklamo.
You're right. If you take a look at RA 9369, it does say that it is the law amending RA 8436.
Of course.
But
I teach that.
Attorney, it does seem that right about now, the timing of this is going to be very expensive to do the manual recount. So you're saying it should have been simultaneous. Go ahead.
Yes, that should have been implemented. That's not expensive. You will only require before transmission, you will only require the members of the electoral board to read the ballot as required by law, and then thereafter you transmit. What's so expensive about it? Reading does not require cost. uh, if you think of all the probable expense, imagined or otherwise, just not to implement the law, you can think of multiple reasons. But if you are if you have the clear intention to implement the law, you have to implement it. Walang cost dyan, babasahin mo, may basa ba sa, may cost ba sa pagbasa ng balota? Wala po, ma'am, Gretchen.
And you're talking about 51 million votes here that we are going to be reading again. That will take a lot of manpower
Ma'am,
and a lot
you're
of
talking
work.
about the future of the country. You're talking about providing transparency, credibility, fairness, accuracy of elections. Time may be added. We counted it, maybe about 2 hours or 3 hours that would be added in the counting per precinct. So the results would be about 2 or 3 hours. But look what happened now. Ngayon pa nga lang, wala pa tayong proclamation simply because of the or malfunctions of the ACM. No? And I heard in Basilan, ma'am, in Basilan, there was manual counting. Why were they able to conduct manual counting in Basilan? Dahil pa matatapang ang mga tao doon at tayo hindi masyado matapang. Kailangan ba natin magtapang-tapangan para ma-implementa yung batas na yan? Kailangan ba namin padala ng andaming tao dyan sa Comelec para lang ayaw ni Pastor Apollo ng Kibuloy ng gulo eh. Ayaw niya ng ganun eh. Ang gusto lang niya, ayusin natin ang Pilipinas. Gusto niya na meron tayong credible elections. Willing siya mag-sign ng waiver para ma-prove lang na merong mali itong sistema natin.
Attorney Torreon, when did you file a case before the Supreme Court?
Ang tagal na. Ang letter namin, matagal na yan. At saka previous to us, merong nag-file ng petition as early as February 2025. Yung grupo nila, General Pukis ata yun. The ITSECMO.
But it was within this year? It was within this year, Attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
February 2025, nag-file na sila Attorney Alex Lacson, sila General Romeo Pukis ng petition sa Supreme Court. Kami, nagpadala na kami ng sulat. Mga February din ata yun at saka March. Ang dali lang naman i-tweak mag-issue lang ng resolution implementing Section 31 of 9369. It does not take 1 hour for a highly intelligent person like Chairman George Garcia to issue a resolution implementing Section 31. It does not require cost. Walang cost dyan. Basahin mo anong gagastusin mo pag magbasa ka lang ng balota. Wala naman And then after that, you transmit. Oo.
Well, Attorney Torreon, there is no official decision yet from the Supreme Court on this. So with that, are you planning to file an election protest to be able to have some teeth in your request?
We are invoking the motu proprio powers of the Comelec. Chairman George Garcia knows about that being the only and exclusive agency authorized by the 1987 Constitution to conduct an honest, free, credible election. It has all the necessary express, implied, and inherent powers under the law and the 1987 Constitution to implement whatever means and schemes relevant to the mandate of the Commission on Elections to have transparency, credibility, fairness, and accuracy of election results. And one way to reinforce that is to conduct a manual recount. Kung hindi na nga sa buong Pilipinas, may pilot areas lang tayo. Kami ang pipili, huwag yung sila. Kami ang pipili. In my past interviews, 5 cities, 5 provinces. Tingnan natin, through their own motu proprio powers, buksan natin yung mga balota, mag-correspond ba doon sa kanila election return. Yan lang, para makita natin na kung merong, meron talagang diferensya, ayusin natin. Kasi hindi po pwede ito, nasa 2028, meron na naman ito, magkakagulo tayo kung hindi natin aayusin ito. Magkakagulo.
Attorney, as to the numbers of the pastor, meron po ba kayong mga ikinagulat na mga probinsya o mga syudad na hindi nag-deliver ng boto nung tinitignan po ninyo?
Ang ikinakagulat namin, grabe naman, 24 areas lang so far nakita namin. Uniform si Pastor dyan sa NCR banda. 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, 42. In certain areas, uniform pa yung boto. Oo. Yung isang kandidato na uniform yung kanyang boto in some precincts. Imposible naman ito. It's statistically improbable para naman mawala yung duda ng tao. Let's have transparency. Tignan natin kung ano ba talaga, okay ba talaga itong sistema na ito. Kaya para forward-looking tayo. Oo. Kasi ang tagal na namin request nito, no, na mag-manual counting. Kasi nandun yun sa batas eh. Para mawala yung duda ng tao. Ayaw kami pakinggan. So anong gagawin natin dito? Kailangan pa mag-rally-rally kami. Kailangan pa mag-file kami ng manual ng anong tawag nito, formal petitions, Commission on Election. Pagastusin pa kami. Ang laki ng gastos niyan. Comelec na on its own, moto proprio. Nag-implement nga sila ng online voting na walang batas. Ito pa na kailangan gawain para ma-reinforce mo yung trust ng tao. Yun lang
Attorney,
po ang gusto na.
let's see if the COMELEC will move their feet on this request and also let's wait for the Supreme Court. In the meantime, maraming salamat po.
Ng miracle. Salamat po. Salamat
Maraming salamat po sa pagpapaliwanag and thank you so much for your time today. That was Attorney Israelito Torreon speaking speaking as a lawyer of Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. In the meantime, don't go away. More matters to discuss right after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho, and here in Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. The partial and unofficial results of the 2025 Senate race showed a varied group of leading candidates. As you can see on your screen, Bongo from the so-called Duterte still enjoys a commanding lead. His party mates also poised to enter the Magic 12 are Bato de la Rosa at 3rd spot and Rodante Marcoleta at 6th. Camille Villar at 10th and Amy Marcos at 12, although initially part of Alianza, were adopted as guest candidates by the Dutertes. Now, 5 senatorial bets under Alianza, excluding Villar and Marcos, appear to have safe spots in the Magic 12. These are Erwin Tulfo at 4th, Ping Lacson at 7th, Tito Soto at 8th, Pia Cayetano at 9th, and Lito Lapid at the 11th spot. Now, surprising a lot of analysts and voters alike were traditional opposition Bam Aquino at 2nd spot, as well as Kiko Pangilinan at 5th spot. And to help us make sense of the partial results of the 2025 Senate race, we have political strategist Alan Herman back on the show. Welcome back to Morning Matters. You know, Alan, nag-usap tayo at the start of the campaign season. We talked about it at midway and now after the polls. I guess, were you surprised? I mean, I'm sure this question has been asked of you several times, no? But the surveys did not really align with the results. Did your predictions align?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised, if I'm being honest. Perhaps not so much the composition, but more so by the rankings. I did not expect, I fully expected Senator-elect Bam Aquino to make it. But I was not anticipating that he would make it in the top 3. I mean, finishing at number 2, evidently. That was a bit of a shock to me. And I had some very, very nice moments thinking that perhaps the electorate is maybe being more discerning in choosing their candidates and choosing their winners, and perhaps being more circumspect about their votes, talking about just putting it in the context of celebrity candidates who did not crack the Magic 12.
Hey, do you think this was a protest vote? I mean, the showing of Kiko Pangilinan, Bam Aquino, Rodante Marcoleta.
1,000,000% a protest vote, in my opinion. This is a clear indication of, again, midterm elections are a referendum on the current administration. This is really I mean, it's a line that gets repeated very often only because it's very true and accurate. So, nasa midterms, tinitignan ng tao, sino ba yung sinusuportahan ng presidente, ng pangulo, ng administrasyon. Kung gusto natin yung patakbo, ituloy. Continuity ang play. Pero kung hindi natin gusto, hindi tayo masaya, hindi tayo satisfied sa patakbo ng administrasyon, then we will choose candidates that will hopefully veer away and steer us to the direction that we want. Mukhang ganun na nangyari. Na-overlook kasi ng tao, the data that gets overlooked a lot is that President Marcos had the lowest approval rating coming into this midterm election compared to the past compared to the past 3 presidents before him. So for me, that's the data point that proved to be the most telling in this election, more than the surveys.
Where do you think the administration went wrong with their campaign? Why wasn't the president able to carry his bets?
I think what happened there is a lack of strategic focus in terms of addressing people's wants and needs. I think they focused, or at least the perception of it. Perhaps that's unfair of me to say, but I think the perception of most people is that they were more focused on politicking, on crushing their political rivals, extending and pursuing all methods para madurog yung mga Duterte, rather than addressing the actual gut needs of the people. So sabi ko nga, Gretchen, pag marunong kang tumingin ng patterns, pag ikaw ay isang mapanuring botante, political pundit, analyst, kung ano man ang tawagin natin dyan, napakadali niyan napakadali makita yung writing on the wall. So, tignan na lang natin yung top 5 senators kung sinong nanalo, di ba? Ano bang advokasya ni Senator Bongo na number 1? Healthcare.
Health.
So, mukhang yan ang hinahanap ng tao. Ano bang advokasya ni Senator Senator-elect Bam sa number 2? Education at trabaho, di ba? Sigurado ang trabaho. Sa libreng kolehiyo, sigurado ang trabaho. Education and livelihood pala ang advokasya ni Senator Bam. Mukhang yan ang hinahanap. Si Senator Bato de la Rosa, peace and order. So the people apparently don't feel safe. They feel a need for restoring of peace and order in the country. Si Senator-elect Erwin Tulfo, ano yan? Social services yan. When the institutions don't work, tumatakbo ang tao sa Tulfo. Kasi feeling nila yung social services hindi sapat, hindi nabibigay ng tama ng gobyerno. Kaya nila hinalal si Senator-elect Erwin Tulfo. At si Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan, pagkain, murang pagkain. Kasi nga, nagtataasan ang presyo ng bilihin, lalo ang pagkain para sa tao. Mukhang yan ang hinahanap nila. So if you were a data analyst, if you were a political analyst or strategist, you would see that the writing is very clear on the wall. Yan ang hinahanap ng tao. Diyan dapat tumutok ang administrasyon. Imbis na just really doubling down and making the line, the divide, more pronounced between what is a Marcos and what is a Duterte. So feeling ko dyan nagkulang at kaya nagkaganito ang resulta ng eleksyon. First time kasi usually, Gretchen, equity of the incumbent will have 8 to 10 administration candidates winning. Pero the last time ito nangyari, lo and behold, was during the time of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, yung ill-fated team unity niya na dalawa lang ang nanalo. Ang approval rating ni TGMA nun was even higher than President BBM going into the midterms. Nasa 30% si PGMA nun.
Kahit sa anong laban, alam naman natin, may kanya-kanyang team yan. So it is obvious na solid yung mga Duterte in their base in Mindanao and in the South. But where is the solid North? Why are they not rising up to defend their leader?
Tandaan natin, if I'm not mistaken, number 1 yata si Bam sa Ilocos. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, I'll check the data. Pero kahit si Senator Bam mataas sa Ilocos. So ang nangyari kasi diyan, defending. What happened there is because of this warring factions, let's call it that, yung mga kaya naging ganyan ang resulta ni Senator-elect Bam at ni Senator-elect Kiko. Kasi yung mga galit sa Duterte na pro-Marcos, binoto sila dahil feeling nila galit sila sa mga Duterte. Yung mga pro-Duterte naman, binoto sila dahil feeling nila galit sila sa pro-Marcos. So, I mean, galit si
The
Senator
vagueness
Bam at
helped.
si so yeah, it really it was really they benefited from the feud. I don't know if I made that point clearly, no. I
No,
might
because
have
I was
might have
wondering
gotten tangled.
why they did not show up for President Marcos in the way that the Duterte supporters showed up for the slate of Duterte.
Okay, well, to that point, because they didn't feel persecuted, I suppose. Definitely not as persecuted as the Duterte camp. Kasi nga, feeling ng Duterte camp, masyado na kami inaapi dito. Una, in-impeach niyo yung vice presidente. Tapos yung aming spiritual moral leader na si former President Rodrigo Duterte, dinala ninyo sa Hague. So yun na nga, nagkaroon ng, and we spoke about this before, there was that consolidation, that suction effect that happened wherein they really rallied behind and made a determined push. Kasi kung titignan mo yung alyansa candidates, Gretchen, and I'll put air quotes on alyansa. Kaya lang naman sila alyansa is because yun yung party nila. They were named as administration candidates. Pero kung titignan mo yung mga kandidato na yan, they're really fully formed, fully developed, independent politicians. Tito Soto, 'di ba, dating kay GMA yan. 'Di ba, you're talking about Pia Cayetano Cayetano yan. She's a fully formed, fully independent politician and public servant na hindi naman necessarily strongly aligned with Marcos. Unlike the PDP candidates, the pro-Duterte candidates, who isang tingin mo lang, alam mo na talagang ang kanilang leaning ay Duterte.
Do you think it wouldn't have happened this way had the president or the administration not have allowed the arrest of the former president? Would this turn out differently?
Well, I've always been of the opinion, and I've said it in the past, no, that I think they did it too late. If the intention was to bring the former president to the Hague to account for his crimes, I think they should have done it tactically much earlier than they did, to allow the suction effect or tightening, the consolidation, to dissipate. Kasi magdi-dissipate din naman yan out of sight, out of mind. Hindi na natin alam kung ano nangyayari sa Hague. Hindi na natin alam, hindi na masyadong kino-cover ng media. Magkakaroon din naman ng smoothening. Pero I think they did it too late. Na nasagap pa rin. There was still, the supporters were still very much enlivened, impassioned. They were very much feeling like underdogs who needed to really bite and claw back. And we see the results now.
Do you think there was a youth vote? May mga nagsasabi na, okay, it's the millennials and the Gen Z who comprise 63% of the voting population in 2025 that made the difference here. But if you take a look at 2022, nasa 56% naman yung numero, no? Malaki-laki pa rin. Tingin mo, what do you think of the youth vote?
I definitely, absolutely believe in the youth vote. Pero ang sweet spot talaga dyan, not so much yung Gen Z. Yung millennials actually yung sweet spot dyan. Kasi 25.94 ang millennials. Yun yung 1981 to 1996. Just in case there was a confusion. So,
kasama ka ba doon?
Yun nga, sasabihin ko nga. So, yun yung generation ko, no? Yung mga katropa ko. Shout out to my fellow millennials. Okay, nawala na ako ng lahat ng credibility. But do I believe in the youth vote? Absolutely. But more of the youth vote, perhaps it would be reductive or siguro oversimplistic to just attribute it to their age. I think, and in my heart of hearts, I feel and I'm happy that it is really a changing tide in terms of sentiment and discernment.
Oh.
Yung tinatawag kong, yung na-mention ko parati dito na OAP, yung Order of Attribute Preferences, mukhang nagbabago. Yes, they are starting it. Yes, it's starting with the Gen Zs and the millennials, but it looks like it's spreading out in all generations. That they're thinking, this is a job application. Why are we voting for candidates simply because they're celebrities? What do these people have to
Or
show?
may
What do these
pa-jacket, no?
candidates? Oh, pa-jacket lang, ganyan. Favorite mo, Gretchen, di ba? Ako hindi. Ako hindi kita tatabihan dahil baka magkaroon ng batuhan ng jacket, baka tamaan ako eh. Alam mo, yung mga nagpa-viral dito na nang totosta ng kandidato,
No, no, no.
talagang-
Talk to me about the role of TikTok in these elections. I mean, ganun na ba ka-game changing? I mean, we saw that in 2022 with the campaign of President Marcos, and they were prepared. Their machinery was prepared for a social media campaign. And this time around, we saw even the progressives taking on TikTok, even Bam Aquino, even Kiko Pangilinan, Heidi Mendoza. They're all active online. Is the game there on TikTok?
Well, TikTok, yes. Still more Facebook. We're still Facebook country. But you're correct, TikTok is closely behind. YouTube is the third. Yung X, kalimutan na natin. Wala yan. Sa kandidato, wala namang value, voter value yung X. But yes, this is really it began in 2016 actually with PRRD, with President Duterte, and has evolved geometrically to where we are now. Kasi iba talaga yung plataforma ng digital. Kasi in fact, they're calling this a digital revolution. A lot of people are calling this a digital revolution in terms of elections. Kasi ang social media, two-way ang interaction. There's engagement. Pwede kang makipag-usap sa like-minded people. It's live casting. Nakikita mo yung kandidato. So na-enhance yung kanyang care attributes, yung relatability. Diba? Most specifically, the relatability. You see the candidates in everyday situations, playing with their dogs, dancing, talking to their families, doing food reviews, talking about what they're eating and where they're going, kasama ka. So game changer yan. Hindi yan dati magawa ng traditional media like TV, radio, and print. Kasi one way ang cascade ng impormasyon.
But as
At
to
sobrang
the
mahal.
impact, mas malaki na sa social media, would you say?
Well, the footprint, okay, I will qualify that. No? I'll qualify that question. In terms of footprint, nothing will beat social media. If you're just talking about pure eyeballs, bang for buck, social media talaga. Pag in-out mo yan ng isang oras, that has a chance to reach millions of eyeballs in 1 hour. So the spread. Conversion, on the other hand, mas mataas pa rin ang traditional media. So, mas mako-convert ang tao pag nakita nila yung kandidato na interview ni Gretchen Ho, nagalingan sila.
Pero
na
nag-viral sa social media yon. So,
baliktad din nangyari. And we're talking about the same thing. Hindi sila nagalingan. So, siguro nagka-epekto yon, di ba? Na-turn off sila. So, ang conversion ng ATL above the line, mas mataas kasi sa social media.
Now, moving on to 2028, do you think that celebrity power is now proven to not be enough to win an election? And as a strategist, what are your learnings about how the Philippine voting population is evolving to be?
That's a great question. Well, unang-una, lilinawin ko lang, nung nagkakatostahan nung time na yon, the event that Gretchen and I are talking about, nandun ako sa studio nung nangyayari yon. So nararamdaman ko yung init, grabe. Para naging rosy yung mga cheeks ko, no, dahil sa sobrang heat na ine-emanate ni Gretchen nung time na yon sa isang kandidato. But to the question, yes, celebrities, the elections of this midterm elections have shown, di ba? Numbers to narrative naman tayo eh. Titignan natin yung numbers and then we shape the narrative. Yan dapat ang strategy. at malinaw dito sa nangyari sa midterm elections, yung pure celebrity power, yung dahil lang sikat ka, ATC, awareness to choice. Awareness is not enough necessarily to translate to that choice. Dahil lang celebrity ka, magaling kang sumayaw, sumayaw ka sa TikTok, you have a really catchy jingle, and I don't know if you're catching who I'm talking about, na talagang earworm yung jingle mo. It's not enough. Apparently now, yung order of attribute preference na nasabi ko nga, kailangan may konting substance. Kailangan you're hitting or addressing, your messaging has to be addressing these gut issues na nagre-revolve sa health. Yung health, education, livelihood, peace and order, social services. And as a strategist, I would then be more focused, and perhaps others in my profession would be more focused, not so much in creating a huge eye-catching, awe-inspiring box, but focusing on filling the box with substance.
Well, Alan, is it safe to say that there is a resurgence of the liberals? And do you think it would be enough to create a strong bid for 2028? Or will the impeachment trial play a huge role in this in the next 3 years?
Definitely, I would say that there is a resurgence. Tinatawag ng pink power, yung kanilang term na pink power. I think it is, yun na nga hindi siya alive and kicking Mas delikado Kasi yung alive and kicking, sumisipa, nag-iingay, kaya napapansin. Ito, alive and clicking. It seems to be clicking. Their message seems to be clicking to the people. So that for me is a more sustainable
Anong
resurgence.
pinagbago para sa'yo?
Definitely, yung mensahe nila, hindi na siya inspire messaging, hindi na siya tapat, integrity, let me educate you, let me show you how it should be done. Yung kandidato siguro hindi nagbago, siguro yung supporters na nagbago, Gretchen. Kasi nakita natin na si Senator-elect Bam, nag-focus siya talaga sa edukasyon. They were trying to politicize him. They were setting traps for him. They were saying, ano sa tingin mo sa impeachment? Ano sa tingin mo dito sa bangayan between Marcos and Duterte? At yung sagot niya, which was vilified at that time by the so-called purists, dami nagalit kay Bam nun. You should have taken a stand, blah, blah, blah. Ano bang sagot ni Senator Bam noong time na yun? Uy, yung tanong na politika na yan, hindi yan mahalaga ngayon. Ang mahalaga yung inflation, ang mahalaga yung presyo ng bilihin, ang mahalaga yung basic services, tubig, kuryente. Diyan ako nagpo-focus, edukasyon lalo at pagbibigay ng trabaho. And he got vilified by the purists. So anong pinagkaiba, Gretchen? Circling back to your question, they realized that this purist mindset just doesn't win elections. I mean, at the end of the day, you can look in the mirror and maybe applaud yourself and maybe be all high and mighty, di ba? And pat yourself on the back saying, yes, I am the purest thing to happen in the Philippines. Pero hindi ka mananalo ng eleksyon pag ganyan ang mindset mo. Elections is really going to where the market is rather than bringing the market up to where you think they should be. Yung let me educate you na yan, yung elitista, approach na yan will not win you an election. And I think Senator-elect Bam and Senator-elect Kiko really learned the lessons of the past election. In particular, that last one election na talagang high and mighty, ivory tower yung pag-iikot at pangangampanya. I think natuto sila and you know, they said, let's bring this campaign back to what should be what we should be talking about, which is addressing the needs of the people through a legislative agenda. So mukhang nag-resonate. Pero
Well,
syempre,
Alan,
nakatulong yung mga dissatisfaction with the current admin. Hindi naman tayo, ibabasya ko sa comments, sasabihin, I'm being so myopic. Hindi sinasabi mo, nanalo sila on their own merit, di nakatulong yung protest vote. Nakatulong, syempre.
Hindi yung mga pagsasayaw sa TikTok. Kasi parang lahat ng liberal candidates makikita mo sumayaw sa TikTok.
Sumayaw sa TikTok, pero yun na nga, merong substance. Hindi lang siya lobo. Hindi lang siya kasi, if sumasayaw ka sa TikTok, dahil mong patawan, dahil mong pa-cute, yung tinatawag nating Dean campaigning, delight, entertain, amuse, make noise. Lobo ka lang. There's nothing inside. Pag tinusok mo yan, puputok, walang laman. Ito, you're a red lunchbox. You're still eye-catching, you're still attractive, you're still engaging, pero pag binuksan mo, meron namang laman.
Wait, Alan, if you take a look at the numbers of BAM and his map doon sa sa mga botong natanggap niya, there was a lot of conversion in the north. Kanina minention mo yung Solid North
Number
voted
6
for
pala siya.
BAM.
Number 6 pala siya. Sa Ilocos.
Which he was unable to do in the past. Do you think he tapped into the Aquino machinery also? Meron bang ganon pa rin sa ngayon? At pangalawa, ano yung mga I mean, what did you notice in the way they were strategizing? Because both BAM and Kiko did say that the last-minute endorsements of several religious groups and also yung MILF, MNLF proved to be working for
crucial.
them. Oo.
Well, again, I think Senator-elect Bam and Senator-elect Kiko's campaign and success in this election is proof positive that elections are really about addition. Ang dali magsabi ng unity, magkaisa tayo. Ang ginawa ni Senator Bam at ni Senator Kiko, talagang sinabuhay nila. Umiikot sila, they forged alliances. Napakaganda at napakasimple at napakalinis naman ang kanilang mensahe. Ako, edukasyon at trabaho, si Senator Kiko, si Bam yon. Si Senator Kiko is pagkain, murang pagkain, sustainable food supply, food security. Who will not resonate with that message? So they were able to forge a lot of alliances, which proved very, very useful.
Well, we don't like a game if it's not as dynamic as this. So definitely a lot to take away and bring to the 2028 elections. I'm sure you're taking note. Maraming salamat for weighing in on with us. We have political strategist Alan Herman right here on Morning Matters.
Thanks, Gretchen. Good morning.
Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back right after a short break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. At this point, let's talk to senatorial candidate Kiko Pangilinan, who is currently ranked number 5 in the partial and unofficial result of the 2025 midterm elections. Good morning. Thank you and congratulations, Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan.
Hi, thank you, Gretchen, and good morning. At sa mga nakikinig, magandang umaga sa Morning Matters.
Okay, Senator, has it already sunk in? I know it's been several days already, but how are you at this moment? And naiisip niyo na ba yung mga gagawin ninyo, or are you still in disbelief?
Well, it's sinking in. I still have to pinch myself once in a while to check if it's really true. But yes. We're now looking at organizing our team, consulting with senators. Not yet consulting, but we've discussed, talked, congratulated Senator Bam. I've thanked Senator Risa. I've also spoke with Chel Jokno and Laila De Lima and Vice President Lenny. So there have been preliminary discussions, not discussions, but agreements on the need to sit down and assess and look at a forge, how do you call it? How to forge, a consensus moving forward.
Oh, it was a grueling campaign for you. I mean, having to go out there and really go door to door and also do the social media work. But also you were the subject of attacks online. And sabi mo parang kayo, no? Parang hindi kayo inubusan tapunan ng fake news. I was the summa cum laude for this. Pero
candidates.
Senator, naalala ko po kasi yung viral video ninyo, parang kumakain kayo tapos meron sabaw na konting-konti lang yung ininom ninyo. And then meron pa po yung parang kumain po yata kayo ng dahon ng saging. I mean, what was the story behind that?
No, first it was not dahon ng saging. It's dahon ng mustasa, which Kapampangans, I grew up exposed to Kapampangan cuisine. So it's a Kapampangan delicacy. You put the fermented rice or buro on the mustasa, and then you eat it. And I've been doing that since I was a child. So I saw nothing, nothing unusual. But yung mga trolls, yung mga nais tayong siraan, they decided to splice it and create a story which was really paninira, no? So there, and they said I was eating banana leaves. Okay? Talagang, it was meant to how do you call it, ridicule me, to put me in a bad light, so that voters will doubt my sincerity, my track, and my character. So, ayun, and walang patid yun. Our estimate is about close to 100 million views. Because it was really, talagang inano siya, what do you call it? Yung boosted. It was really organized, massive. So, yun. I think there was also a backlash. Nagkaroon ng simpatya. Sabi nga nila, pag binubugbog ka ng binubugbog, eventually magkakaroon ng underdog.
Well, it might have also worked the other way, that it got your name circulating, and who knows which was the better or had more effect. But I wanted to talk about.
But based on the polling, we really went down. We lost about. We were already in the top 12 early on, and then the bashing and the trolling started. There was no let-up from January up to May. So we really had to fight back, and we really had to push back. So we did that through our own set of narratives, which was from day one, that we focused on food and our message. So thankfully, no, na yung ating mga botante hindi nagpadala doon sa paninira. Siguro kung nagpadala sila sa paninira, I would either have been outside the top 12, diba? Maybe just around top 12, either, but not top 5. So I'm thankful.
Senator, because we don't have a lot of time now, I wanted to focus on the work ahead of us. What is your reaction to Attorney De Lima and also Attorney Shell Jokno being part of the prosecution for the upcoming impeachment? And ano po yung where do you view yourself in the middle of all of this?
Well, as a senator judge, we have to be impartial. So we have to look at the evidence, and that's what we're going to do. It's a constitutional duty. The impeachment court is a constitutional body, and we will be taking our oath of office, and we will have to uphold the rule of law. That's also a constitutional duty, part of our oath of office. So,
but what can we expect from the mix that we're seeing already in the Senate? We have 5 administration bets, 5 from the Duterte side. Do you see yourself and Bam as the difference makers?
I don't know. We'll see. Ultimately, it's all about evidence. If there is strong enough evidence, then even the public will be affected or will have their own views. So we will wait and look at the evidence, weigh it, and then make a decision on the basis of the evidence. But before that, I must say, merong Supreme Court petition questioning yung jurisdiction, etc. So we also have to decide whether and wait, anong magiging ruling ng Supreme Court.
Okay. We saw a video of you, Risa Ontiveros, Bam Aquino, Shell Jokno, online. Napag-usapan niyo na po ba kung anong gagawin niyong apat, no, na magkakasabay, kasama na rin si Laila De Lima. Meron na po ba kayong napupusuan na i-prioritize o gawin o isulong
Wala
altogether?
pa, hindi pa kami nag-uusap. We haven't talked shop, just greeted each other, congratulated one another, and then agreed na dapat mag-meeting tayo when all things have settled down. Pero wala pa napapag-usapan. But on my end, I really intend to push for what we committed to and promised our voters. Address the issue of food security, yung problema ng mataas na presyo ng bilihin, particular ang bigas. Napababa na natin ang presyo ng bigas noon tayo ang food security SAR ni Presidente Aquino. We were able to tame inflation. It was the lowest in 20 years after 1 year of my managing the country's rice supply. So I know how to bring down rice prices. But the question now is, can government respond? Can we cooperate and make it happen? I'm willing to, walang kulay ang gutom, so I'm willing to help and show the way in terms of addressing itong problema ng mataas na presyo ng bigas.
Just as a final question, sisingit ko lang, no, do you think the endorsement of your wife, Sharon Cuneta, made a difference?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Husbands and wives should help one another. It would have been a bit strange that she wouldn't help me.
No, naalala ko lang po kasi sabi niyo dito, ayaw niyo siyang masyadong i-involve, ano? Kasi iba naman yung politika at iba naman yung buhay niyo.
I didn't say ayaw ko siyang maging involved. What I said was I didn't want her to be harmed. I wanted to protect her from all the bashing and the trolling and the possible attacks. But husbands and wives help one another. She saw the opportunity to do so, and she's been helping ever since. So yeah, and I'm very thankful. Yes, it helped a lot because the food security, yung Sharon, diba, pag maraming pagkain at handa, maraming Sharon, di ba? Pwede kang di ba? Pwede kang mag-Sharon, magbalot kasi masagana ang supply ng pagkain. I mean, it was a good, very good messaging to bring home the point of food security, ample food supply, lower food prices, and masaganang pagkain, di ba?
Well, there is much before you after the proclamation, of course. But in the meantime, we'll let you go and enjoy your victory run. Maraming salamat for your time today and for joining us on Morning Matters. Congratulations. We have senatorial candidate Kiko Pangilinan.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.